Season Hughes. She's going to go first, followed by Nate Cruz, who will be speaking. So Season will be talking about awkward Agile. Nate will be talking about disciplined Agile. And then we have Sherman, who's going to be talking about giving back in a virtual world. And then finally, Volker is going to follow up with coaching with the nervous system in mind. Right, I think I have it right. All right. So first up, we have Season, and Season is I think you've been around for a little bit a while, and a lot of us gotten to know you and really enjoy your energy, and really excited to have you present here. Season comes to us from Atlassian, Dolby, and latest from Walt Disney. And if you're looking for an amazing coach, definitely hit her up. All right, so are we ready? Everybody ready for Season? Get her pumped up. All right. Okay. So the way we're gonna do this, as soon as I hit the link, Season's gonna go. Okay, ready?
Hit it.
Okay, on your mark, get set.
You gotta share.
Oh, wait. I gotta share my screen first. Slow down. All right, let me share my screen first. Where are you, Google? Okay, everybody sees my screen? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, now it's gonna launch. Here we go. Oh, it launched on the wrong screen. 1 second. Jeez. All right, 1 second. Let's try number 2. There we go. Off you go.
When I give talks, I have no idea what to talk about. So I try to think about what other people say that I'm good at. And they say that I'm good at helping people feel seen, included, heard, and at ease, which is funny because I am pretty much never at ease. I've been working on my CTC, and I've been doing a lot of work around why am I here? What's my purpose as a coach? In a session around that, my therapist called me the ambassador of awkward. When we were at Disneyland last week, my boyfriend referred to me as an awkward turtle. And speaking of awkward, I think these are going a little faster than 20 seconds. What do you think, Wei?
No, they're 20 seconds.
Are they? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe they're mixed up, but hey, we'll go with it. So
Yeah.
when we're talking about awkwardness and putting people at ease, why is this important? And to me, it is to really just get people comfortable with you and with other people so that they're able to open up about kind of their feelings and you can get to the truth of things. So how do you do that? Well, I want you to get used to that sinking feeling, the living in the awkward, and just to double check, really these are 20 seconds?
Yeah, they are 20 seconds.
Okay. Have a plan, but when things go off the rails, like when the slides go really, really fast, you want to be able to sit in that and adapt to it. So here's my biggest advice from this presentation. Play Dungeons and Dragons. That is going to teach you how to think on your feet and how to smite your enemies. Like number 1 tip, just do something that makes you really uncomfortable. You want to ride a roller coaster, eat cilantro. Just get used to that feeling.
Keep going. Oh, yeah.
Okay, that one, that was the hardest for me because my anxiety wants things to just keep moving all the time, but you have to get used to sitting back, giving people space, giving them time to process. Even when you're panicking, don't run, don't die. This is a good thing. Also, people, when they give you their time, that time is a gift. How many of you have been in a 15-minute meeting and it's turned into an hour? It makes you not want to come, right? So if you need to, just interrupt the CEO, ask for permission to extend the meeting or to make it another time. Just respect people and their time, and they will want to be in your presence. And we only get to know a fraction of people on this earth. So it's easier than ever to do it virtually. Meet their cats, talk about their background. Just don't call people resources, because they are people. And own your awkwardness. If you don't do that, you cannot help people feel comfortable arriving as who they are. Like, I am covered in cat hair right now. I've got a poster of a K-pop band next to me. I'm 20 years too old for that. Just be who you are, and then allow others to be who they are as well. And know that you're not always going to get it right. You're going to make mistakes. Look at it as a growth journey and just move on from it. Use it to learn, get on the mistake train, live in that discomfort. Because really, at the end, it's not about you. This is about others and their journeys. Their journeys are hard, their journeys are short. What small things can you do to help make their journeys just a little bit easier? So if you are in a position to care for others, and that's not just coaches, that's everyone, what are these small things? So read this book. Sorry, I'm late. It made me take an improv class. I will never admit to liking it, but it helped me get used to unease. Strange Planet, Observing Human Behavior. That's something where I learned to not take things so seriously. I'll recommend Yoga with Adrienne Until the End of Time. She helps you sit with discomfort and that feeling and get used to it. And this talk by Lovey Aji Jones, she talks about living in discomfort and speaking up for what's right to help find ease for others. So what am I asking you to do? Someone that I love dearly, Alice Merlino, a Scrum Master at Atlassian, has a saying to keep being awesome. Well, I'm going to say keep being awkward. Just show up, keep trying, keep learning. We could all use a little bit more ease. So if you want to talk more about this, I am on LinkedIn, and I am also looking for my next role as an Agile coach. These are some of the companies that I have been awkward at. So if you're hiring or you know someone who is, please reach out, and thank you.
All right, hands up for round of applause for Season. Really, really great job.
I've got to say, I've practiced that many times, and that felt twice as fast. Was that really 7 minutes?
It was 20 seconds.
Okay, I believe you.
20 seconds. Yeah. Good job. Questions for Season on anything on her talk or just about anything else?
I got one.
Yeah,
put
sure.
a question in the chat.
I want to know more. Yeah, I was also in the chat. I saw in there. I want to know a little bit more about how, you embraced improv and how it impacted you.
Yeah, so improv is something that I never ever wanted to do. If life could come with a script, I would happily take that script. I find comfort in kind of planning and templates. But I read this book. I was in a book group and it was my turn to recommend a book. So I found this one because it was available at the library and available in a certain format. So I recommended it to the group, and it was about a person who lives with anxiety, who is just doing things that she never wanted to do. And one of those was an improv for anxiety class with Second City. So I just in one of those spirits of okay, I'm going to do it, hit the button and then run away. I signed up. And I think it helped that it was a virtual class and not in person, because I kind of got that little bit of detachment. But I find it was kind of the same thing that draws me to going to Disneyland, is you really get to kind of drop your worry, drop being an adult, and just embrace the silliness and the imagination and the fun, and learn to just go with things. So when things happen, I'm still convinced that was 10 seconds per slide, but hey, there you go. When that happens, old me probably would have freaked out, but this me who has done improv and gone with things is going, cool, all right, this is fun. We're going to learn. We're going to throw some stuff out the window and we're going to show up as we are and be imperfect. So even though like even just saying the word improv, I'm like, oh, it just doesn't feel like me. You heard it here, and this is being recorded. It was a great experience, and I definitely recommend it, especially if you're sitting there going, no, I will never do that. You need to do it the most.
Thanks,
What
Susan.
else? Yeah.
Other questions for Susan? Anyone else?
If you don't have questions for me, I'm curious from you. So I'm really just exploring this idea of awkwardness, and especially in Agile. So what are some examples of awkward experiences, or what does awkward mean to you?
Going next.
Anyone? So one thing I'll share with you, I almost did this as a talk, is look into something called memory reconsolidation. So there's the whole concept of being able to actually overwrite memories through, guess what? Awkwardness, right? In that awkwardness moment, you're creating what they call an experiential mismatch. And as you do something new during that, and if you keep practicing that awkwardness, that's how you overwrite that memory. And it's actually proven to work. And it's like a discovery they made within the last 15 years or something like that.
That
Check it
sounds a
out.
lot like Inside Out, the movie.
It sounds a lot like that, doesn't it? Because it probably is, but basically it is related. So when I think there's something very real to awkwardness, right? I mean, because it's sort of like, as a musician, it's sort of like if you practice something that you're good at, you're not learning anything new. It's actually only through the new material, which is going to be awkward, So I love it,
I love that, Lee. Anyone else? I saw Tom.
Yeah, Susan, thanks so much. That reminds me of why I love being a coach so much, but I'm retired now. So to me, the ultimate, most awkward thing is silence. I just resonate with that so much. And then a good friend recommended a book by Nancy Klein called Time to Think. And it's not about you finding time to think. It's about you creating a space where you give the other person time to think, and you cannot interrupt them when they're in the process of thinking through the problem that you've set the stage. It's a brilliant book. It's very methodical, the way that they set up the environment, the way that they have you control the environment. So even though it's awkward, you see the structure around it that allows for incredible things to happen. So I highly recommend the book Time to Think by Nancy Klein.
I love that. I just put it on my reading list, Tom. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks,
And
Susan.
Sasha with the last, yeah, go ahead, Sasha.
Thank you. Let's try to take a look at our role as a coach. We are working with people who are experts in their area. We are coming there with basically no knowledge, but we help these people to achieve their success. Does it sound awkward to you? It is pretty awkward to me. For example, I joined the bank as a coach with nothing, another banking experience. And was able to help people to achieve something. So, knowing you as a human being, I think you found yourself in niche. So if somebody says, "Oh, an ambassador of awkwardness," I know exactly whom they're talking about.
Thank you, Sasha. Yeah, that was, I mean, having your own therapist call you that, and you're going like, oh, that doesn't sound very attractive, but we're gonna go with it. That's funny. I saw a question in chat. Can I
Yeah, go
address
ahead.
that? Do we have
Yeah, let's
time?
go ahead. Address that real fast.
So the question is, when are your retrospectives questions greeted with total silence? And that's a great question. And I would say every single time. every single retro. You throw it out there. And then Tom, you were talking about that silence. And then as the silence builds up, I feel it every time. I feel this like, oh, it's quiet. Oh, are people bored? Oh, am I doing a bad job? But you've got to have time for people to process and to think. I work with a lot of people who are quiet or who are introverted or who are kind of processing people. I'm one of them. If you ask me to answer a question immediately, I'm going to freeze and say, "Whoa, I need that time to think." So know that in that moment, all people are doing is just thinking. It's nothing about you. And if it really does kind of drag on to a certain point, you can volunteer your own answer to that question to get people comfortable with opening up. You could switch to a different format and say like, hey, if you're not comfortable speaking, why don't you try this in chat? Or, hey, maybe this question isn't resonating with the group. Let's try something else. Or even better, hey group, what do you think we should talk about? Turn it over to them. But yeah, it's every time. And the more that you are getting used to that, it'll never be easy, but it does get easier. And if anyone else has an answer to that, please feel free to unmute or add in chat.
Anyone? Andrew.
So one of the favorite tricks that I learned early on being an Agile coach is, yes, you will get met with silence. So next time, bring some silent exercises. Tell them to be silent. You know, if you do, I don't know, a written exercise, one of my favorites is, write what's most important to you right now on the top of this piece of paper, then pass it to the right. When you see a piece of paper coming from the left, add something to it. Give that 10 minutes, see what you get. But actually to recruit the silence, suddenly it stops being such a problem.
I love that, Andrew. And I've found ways to kind of recreate that interaction virtually through Mural or Miro or Retrium or Easy Retro. Any of those tools, you can do the same thing.
Yeah, great. All right, well, thanks, Season, and thanks everybody for contributing to
Thank you.
Again, for a great presentation, and also to the questions and the conversation afterward. All right. Next up, we have Nate. Nate is wow, what don't you do, Nate? Nate is a trainer. We know him through the CTC Special Interest Group. Expert at SAFE, and tonight he's going to be talking about Discipline Agile, right?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else you want to add before we get started, Nate?
No, I'm happy to be here, and thank you, Lee, for roping me into this. Anyway, let's see what happens.
Okay, ready? Here we go. As soon as I'm going to click it now, and off you go as soon as it appears. Okay, ready? Go for it.
Hello, everybody. My talk today is about Discipline Agile. We'll talk about that more in detail in a moment here. And our subtopic is it's cool to be a tool. Now, I'm referring to Discipline Agile and not the presenter of this discussion here. So those of you that who know me might be a little bit confused. Discipline Agile is one of the scaled Agile approaches here that really focuses in on looking at a decision framework to come together and organize all the teams, all the work that needs to get together here. It is not deferential to any type of framework itself. It goes through and uses all the various frameworks in a consolidated way. As I said, it is an agnostic way of looking at the various frameworks, and it looks at all those and takes the best practices of each, including the dreaded word waterfall, and try to come up with the best solution to provide for the client. Now, Discipline Agile has a mindset that has principles, promises, and guidelines. The principles here are about delighting the customer. That's great. It's talking about being awesome. Context counts and being pragmatic. Under promises, it talks about having psychological safety, accelerating the value propositions to the customer, being collaborative along the way here, and some other things here, the guidelines here. Now, this very busy chart here talks about how Discipline Agile takes you from where you're at and whatever road path you need to get to into its framework to deliver an organized way of value delivery at the scaled enterprise level. Now, under this, it has a framework that has a foundation level that talks about lean, agile, WOW, which means way of life, a way of working here. It also has a DevOps capability, and then it uses Al Shalloway's flex capability to align strategic activities with its activities, and then any other overlays of other activities you need to do. It also lays out in a framework here of doing delivery here in inception, construction, or in transition, and has all these different decision mods here that you would do under each one of them, where you're allowed to make decisions on each one of these areas and customize it for your project. One of the first things is tactical scaling, looking at mindfully how complex a project is by looking at the size, geographic location, distribution, complexity, technical complexity, and domain complexity, and having the team come to a mindset on just how hard this project is, and it helps everybody be on the same page as you go through and attack complex situations. And the decision trees that we go through to look at each one of these decisions breaks out where the evaluation of the WOW looks at every aspect of a complex scale project and gives you various options here along the way that you can choose from here in a menu fashion here along the way. Now, it doesn't leave you alone with these options here. Each option has a way of clicking beneath a bit and understanding what the options are, what's the trade-off and benefits of each option, so put you in a better position to come up with the best selection here for your Discipline Agile activity that you're interested at that specific time. Now, it has many different life cycles to go through. Here is one that you would go through on a project that starts out that has a delivery. It uses the concept, inception, and construction and transition activities here listed. And it shows how delivery and DevOps feeds in along the way. So this is one of the choice life cycles that you could use if this is the one that's best for you. Also, if you're doing continuous delivery into one product that you'll be delivering at one point, that you're just mainly doing construction, it has a choice, but you can come up with a continuous delivery life cycle into the activity here. Now, also, it has a lean. So if you're doing lean activities along the way here, it has the process of doing continuous delivery of construction here. If you're doing a lean and just using a single set of skill sets versus cross-functional skill sets to do a lean focus activity here within a Kanban project activity. Also, if you're doing a lean startup, it has an approach where you can go through it and have an idea or hypothesis, envision and evolve your MPV by pivoting or selecting the option here along the way here in exploratory fashion here, if that's what the type of project you're looking at doing here. Now, let's get back to the process here. The teams here has more team members than your normal Scrum project here. It has a team that looks more like a dynamic system development or DSDM with a lot of core team members and a lot of extended teams here. Now, instead of having a Scrum master, it has a team lead that has the responsibility, can make decisions if needed, but they try to drive this team to be doing development. Now, Discipline Agile is best served in a scaled Agile environment that you have a large enterprise activity connecting many small projects to a set of programs that leads all the way up to the enterprise here as listed here, similar to SAFe and some of the large enterprise activities here. And those enterprise activities start from an initial roadmap of a high-level concept idea that you want to have some high-level epics, features, and capabilities that you want to deliver, and then breaks it down to the story, have the team deliver those at the team level, and then give feedback up through the system and building it back up into a higher level development team. Also, as you're going through here and making decisions here, you also at the enterprise level may have to make decisions by many different tools to support it. Decision Agile with its tool set and decision tree helps you make better choices along the way here by helping you by going through the various menus to get things done here. Now, those of you who are interested in a learning journey to learn more about Discipline Agile, it is associated with PMI. It has a Scrum Master course you can take, a Senior Scrum Master course. You can start out with the ACP, and from there, you can go and do a value stream and coaching. So with that said, that is my presentation. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you today here and give you my idea about the idea of Discipline Agile and how it is cool to be a tool. Last slide here is just to give a background of who I am. In general, I am out on LinkedIn. I'm an instructor at Caltech. I'm also work with Silicon Tech doing some safe activities here. Some of my expertise is in the area of Agile hardware development, Agile system engineering, and Agile data analytics here. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Sorry, I only could put half of my certifications on this slide.
All right. Fantastic job. Oh my God. Well done, Nate. I think you win the award for cramming content into 20 slides. Holy smokes. All right. Who's got
Quite a collection.
for Nate? Any questions for Nate on Discipline Agile?
What types of teams and organizations do you think benefit from disciplined agile?
Well, I think all teams can benefit. One, it allows you to go and make some mindful choices in the discipline area. And those, particularly those who are in situations where waterfall is so embedded that they can't extract it out and they still have to do some waterfall activities. I worked with a group here recently here in California that did the plugins for electric cars to get them charging. And all their customers was doing things, and they were very waterfall related, and they had to have some kind of waterfall interface. They wanted to do things from Scrum. And when they did things from Scrum, they did not use Scrum Masters. So they didn't want to use Scrum Masters, and trying to talk them out of that was a fruitful activity. Actually, I wish I had known about Discipline Agile at the time, and we could come up and get some variation in topics here. So it's, in the real world, you know, I know we are Agilists, we love it, I love it, but hey, I like to get paid and solve customer problems here. And sometimes you got to learn how to do waterfall and other aspects to get that done. So this kind of ties and allows you to get those customers. And I think it will take us away from just dominant by doing things in the software area to, as we get into the internet of everything, it'll allow us to do the Agile and everything to support hardware, data analytics, system engineering, and large complex systems here that will expand the areas that we can work in together here and expand the client sets that would allow us to work with them, because they just can't give up some of the old methodologies, but we can keep strategically put in agility in places for them to deliver.
Nate, let's suppose you are in an elevator with the CEO of the company that has to make a decision what scaled agile framework to pick. What would be your elevator pitch, like in 10 sentences? How would you sell them on Discipline Agile?
Well, I would tell them, you know, I'm happy to be in here with you. I think Discipline Agile has a unique advantage because you do not have to pick. It's like being at a buffet and picking your favorite meat, your favorite sauce, your favorite potato, all of them together and come up with a meal of your choice. Isn't that wonderful? You don't have to decide. You don't have to accommodate me. I'm accommodating you. It's like at Burger King. Have it your way. Hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Good enough set say we deliver any way you want to here and accommodate any kind of situations you have here and still deliver incremental value to you along the way.
Sold. You completely sold me. Somebody's getting hungry, by the way. I'm looking at
So I have a question for you, Nate. So if you were to put side by side Scrum and Scale, Less, Safe, you know, and DAD, and what would you say is the key differentiator between DAD and REST?
I knew we shouldn't give you any questions. We put them all together. Look, I'm a big proponent of Safe. I think Safe has a lot more structure to it, a lot more online capabilities to it, but it doesn't have some of the, but you have to stay within the safe framework and all its options, even though you can expand and contract that in many different ways. Discipline Agile, I think is different and is emerging in the area here. It's PMI's approach on how to deal with the Scaled Agile initiative here and adding a lot more flexibility along the way. It is in its infancy stage. Scaled Agile, Discipline Agile started out with was one of the first Scaled Agile approaches. It got pushed to the sideline because it was like running cars through a car wash in one or many at a time. It was pretty vanilla and straightforward. They've beefed it up. They've given you some more options and choices along the way here. So I would not, I would say if you're talking about some of the other Scaled Agile approaches might work well if you move those into in a section of your program office. SAFe can be contained by itself, but truly, if you have a situation where you are so weighed down with waterfall and trying to figure out how to put agility in a very quick, dynamic manner or a slow burn kind of way, you can customize that delivery by using Discipline Agile in a way to deal with your risk and comfort level along the way. But it's still. I mean, again, you know, I'm a lover of SAFe. But I picked up Discipline Agile as an additional revenue source here. But I mean, I see some value in it, and I see some clients, particularly the military clients here, that allows a lot more waterfall flexibility in how we deliver things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very good.
Do you have any dad jokes?
Oh, ouch.
Oh my God, who snuck him in here? He snuck here in the background here. I didn't see him come in here. I don't have, actually, I have a situation where I did work for International Institute of Learning here, and they had a client, Citibank, and one of the professionals of Agile who do a CST, and you probably know him because he refers himself as the Agile dad. He went through and was talking about, you know, dad as him being the Agile dad. And they said, wait a minute, you're confusing us. You're not talking Agile. You're talking about a scale approach, Discipline Agile. He said, no, what he's trying to say is I'm the Agile dad talking about Agile, not Discipline Agile here, activity here. And that actually cost him to lose. Well, I shouldn't say that. But anyway, it was that's about as funny as I get on Agile here. Great to see you, Ted, there along here tonight.
All right. Any final questions for Nate?
Well, my final comment here is that I had many reservations in doing this. I have to tell you that, and doing these activities. I'm glad that you stretched me to do this. I would say some thank you for doing this. If I can help you in any way, I do have even though I am a scholar and a trainer, I do have an extensive coaching background and certifications, including life coaching. If you need somebody just to cry on his shoulder who can deal with you in a professional way, I can do that at no price for the rest of the year. And
oh wow. That was a pretty good one.
Again, if I can help you, and if anybody's interested in helping me in my dissertation looking at Agile deployment, I'll put my email in here. Just need to interview you for an hour and a half to help me come up and finish up my dissertation so I can be a regular human being again here. Ted, I'm going to ask you to be one of the participants. I asked you to look at my questions, but I'm going to ask you to participate too. Okay. So again, thank you, folks. I'll try to participate more along the way here, and we thank you for challenging me to stretch myself to do this, even though I didn't want to.
All right. Great job, Nate. Let's give him a round of applause for a fantastic job. So, you know, you guys, it's fun. You gotta put yourself out here, stretch, you know, feel a little awkward, right? It's see what you can do. This is exciting. All right. Next up, we have Sherman. And Sherman is an old friend. Welcome back, Sherman. He
Thank you.
Sherman is the veteran of the evening. He was in the Pecha Kucha from last year.
I'm the OG.
And he is the founder of Scrum Adventures, which is a consulting company and which serves a number of different clients. And also, like you've developed some interesting things with some of your Agile tools that you've created as well, right? So just to mention it, so check that out at Scrum Adventures. And Sherman, you're going to run your own screen share. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and fire away.
Awesome. Thank you, Wee. Appreciate it. I'll start my screen share first, then I'm going to kick off the presentation. And I've got to move you guys out of the way because you're in my way. I believe the right people working together as a team and making commitments to each other cultivates a thriving experience. I founded Scrum Adventures with one of the core principles of community. Our culture is about creativity, open working environment, high energy, and relationships. Let's talk about virtual internship. Our objective is to enrich those so they can enrich others. In support of this, I established a virtual internship program. The program is based on following the Agile and Scrum framework, which includes forming as an Agile team, training, Scrum events with weekly sprints. As far as forming as an Agile team, the interns work together to establish their way of working for developing community product increments. This was the beginning of the team embarking on their Agile journey. Each internship team followed the Scrum framework by receiving training and coaching, building their first backlog, producing community product increments, and continually learning along their way. They learned how to use Agile and Scrum together. Internship product increments include creative get well cards that are available for visitors to write personal messages, coloring books for children to use during their hospital stay, and a letter writing campaign as a thank you to first responders, military personnel, and healthcare workers for their community service. Virtual Scrum and Wine. Scrum and Wine is a monthly meetup for Agile and Scrum aficionados to gather, support, and learn from one another. We emphasize drinks, fun, and community. Together, we pick topics for sharing, deep dive discussion, learning, ideas, and giving back. We give to each other so that all of us can give to others. By building a community, we created space for others to give back, inviting guest speakers to share ideas and thought-provoking topics. From Dr. Linda Gomberg educating us about forensic psychology, Ruchika Sagar introducing Agile gameplay, Ted Wallace teaching us about total brain coaching, and our very own Win-Win. As an example of giving back through our Scrum and Wine meetup, we annually hold a toy drive in December. We ask the participants to donate toys to their local area. For Long Beach, we donate to Sparks for Love, which is partnered through local fire departments and ABC. This is a gratifying experience for me. Using Scrum, we set a sprint goal to prepare our virtual Scrum and Wine event. Our sprint backlog consists of preparing a small bites to share what is happening in the Agile and Scrum world, notifying the community about the upcoming event, and preparing the virtual space for an amazing giving opportunity. This picture represents our toy drive event from last December. Cal Jobs, supporting the people of California and getting back to work. I wanted to find a way to give back using my Agile training expertise. This desire resulted in partnering with Cal Jobs, allowing California job seekers to receive Scrum training courses, which had measurable skills leading to a credential. I started with the vision and set a product goal. By partnering with Cal Jobs as a key stakeholder, I continually learned and refined my product backlog. My CSD course is our first training where job seekers may obtain financial assistance through the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act. Sharing our learnings. Through our Agile coaching expertise and partnerships, we have had the opportunity to be creative in solving our clients' problems. As a way of giving back and helping others on their Agile journey, I have worked with my team to make some of the solutions available virtually. Social justice. With the tumultuous year of 2020, I was committed to having my team advocate for justice, equality, and well-being for all, so that people of every race, gender, orientation, and cultural background may thrive. At our core, we are committed to engaging proactively, transparently, and respectfully with the people of the communities we serve. Our social justice involvement included spotlighting 181 Black-owned businesses across the United States, especially Black-owned Long Beach, and organizations dedicated to Black lives, such as Spicy Green Book, which is a directory of Black-owned restaurants, Black Trans Advocacy Coalition, and the Social Justice Institute. Continuing our social justice involvement, we came up with a pledge program targeted towards the Agile community to join us in supporting Black-owned financial institutions. By working together with our Agile community partners, this approach has a positive impact in the social justice movement. Embracing empiricism, we held virtual ideation sessions to explore opportunities where we can make a difference. After ideation, our team followed the Scrum framework with research product backlog items and incremental website builds. We challenged others to virtually pledge with us in supporting Black-owned financial institutions. Pay it forward. In the year 2000, when I watched this movie, Pay It Forward, it had an inspiring impact on me. With my journey into Agile and Scrum, I embraced community involvement with giving back opportunities. Community is the first of my 3 pillars and founding of Scrum Adventures. I shared this message with my team to inspire and promote real change that matters, whether it's virtual internships, virtual Scrum and Wine, supporting people of California to get back to work, or social justice. We have a corporate platform, not just what we say, but what we can do. Every voice matters, every action matters, be agile. Inspiring myself to inspire others so they can inspire others. Pay it forward, change the world. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Great job, Sherman. Exciting. Like, we don't get a lot of social justice, social work topics here. So any questions for Sherman?
What are your challenges in terms of making this sustainable long term?
That's always a good one, Dee. You know, that's why I put it as actually my first pillar. Because when I founded Scrum Adventures, I had 3 pillars: community, commitment, and training. Training's kind of grown into training, coaching, transformation. But having community as my first one, it always helps me catch and say, what are we doing, you know, myself, my team, my company, to make a difference? And one thing we continually sustain is having internships. When I started the company, I did just a summer internship. So every year I had a summer, they'd come on site. I'd have, you know, about 2 or 3 interns each year, which was great. They learned a lot, they can grow. Most of them have found jobs, which is just kind of empowering for me or exciting for me. But as the pandemic hit, we figured out what can we do in the internship area. And we actually started doing an internship. We did, let's see, we did the summer one, which we did virtually. We were like, what can we do? We got to do it virtually. We're not having people in an office. We did a virtual one, but then we also did a fall one, a winter one also. So instead of just once a year, we did it 4 times a year. So instead of running 3 people through an internship, I was able to run over 20 people through internships last year. So we find ways of sustaining that. And, you know, and I look for it and say that win-win situation. So if I put a consulting hat on to be, you know, truly open about it, is the interns are gaining so much experience. They learn about Agile. I train them about it. They use it. They build products. They give back. So they have to build community projects and they produce something. So whether they're marketing interns or they're helping take things we've done with our clients and turn that into a way of giving back, something that could be downloaded or a tool. So I look at that as sustaining. That's kind of my core sustaining right there. I love working with you know, young people and young minds. I find they're, you know, in a lot of ways, they're just kind of so eager to learn. They don't have that resistance that sometimes you find in people who have, you know, decades of experience. And for me, that's just really exciting to see them find a way, get that aha moment and grow. So that's my sustaining. That's my real core of that.
Thank you. I was just thinking when you said like, people who are hard or difficult to maybe train or something, I'm thinking we could get them to do the discipline agile thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Chairman, this is Nate.
Yeah.
Awesome presentation. And I would tell you that your presentation kind of touched me at the core. And one, I guess when I moved out here to Southern California 20 years ago, prior to that, living in the Midwest and on the East Coast, I was very involved with a lot of community activities, but being out here on a peninsula, not a lot of things of that going on here, and I became isolated. So I would humbly ask if I could support you in teaching, coaching on any of your activities here. I would love to do that. With that and any mentoring and internship here that I could support. I have a great amount of time that I can allocate wherever I want to, because I just don't like working for people anymore. But if I can be of service, please reach out to me, and I'd love to get involved.
Well, that'd be great. Thanks, Nate. Yeah, obviously, since we're backyard neighbors, that'd be awesome. I've become pretty passionate about it and more about it, and a little of my story there, and founding my own company, just the right time in life. I kind of hit the right milestones personally that I wanted to achieve, and then being able to choose to do this. Working for corporate America, when you want to volunteer and give back, it's personal volunteer.
Right.
But as a company, I think we have a right. I think we should have a mandate that we have to give back. It's kind of gets maybe a little bit out there, but companies make profit. Profit should be about giving back, and not just giving back to shareholders, but giving back to make a difference in the world. And as a small business, it's maybe easier to do it than as a big one, but if we can do it, we should do it. And I challenge all of you to find your own way to do that. How can you make a difference?
Yeah, that's a great challenge. Andrew.
I'd like to acknowledge you, Sherman. I'm no longer an Agile coach. I've put that behind me. And it's partly because I don't want to work for people anymore either. I'm totally with Nate. But part of it is because from the very first line, we are uncovering better ways of developing software and blah, 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 blah. Principles, values, frameworks, and we lose sight of the so what. So what? And I live in Silicon Valley, and we're really clear now that the neoliberal technocratic sociopaths aren't actually helping. And so thank you for bringing all of the wonderful stuff that actually is at the heart of Agile back to bear on doing something good for people.
Thanks, Andrew. I have, this community has kind of been a life-changing for me, getting involved, not just the Bay ALON, but just getting involved in Agile and Scrum has really been a turning point for me. And as many of the people here, many of these faces, you guys have become really close friends with me. And it's an amazing journey. It's partly why I like the coaches retreats, because when we have conversations, we're not talking about how we're going to create a better web page. We are really talking about what are we actually doing that makes a difference. And so I find the coaching retreats are really pretty powerful for that. The Scrum gatherings hit that more surface oriented, but the coaching retreats go much deeper. And I find them kind of inspiring. So if you're looking for events and you haven't gone to some of the coaches retreats, especially the in-person ones, because they really allow us to find things in ourselves that we might not have known was there.
Thank you, Andrew. I have a question for you, Sherman. You have your interns and I think this is a very unique experience with them. Like, can you share with us, like, probably maybe the most surprising thing you've experienced from their perspective of like what they've learned about themselves or something that they went through as part of the experience of like giving back and things like that?
Sure. One of the One of the most powerful things I hear from people, kind of two of them come to mind. One is when I hit people who are post college. They've already graduated. Either they hit the workforce in some way, but they didn't hit it in the way they expected to. It's, it's not their major, it's not their degree, something in their life turned them in a different direction than maybe they thought. And they kind of said, it's time for me to do what I was meant to do. And so I've had some of them join my internship, and their stories are kind of what is attractive, why, it's the right internship for them to do, because it lets them explore it in a safe, comfortable way. I had one person recently that sticks out in my mind as a marketing intern. She graduated with the marketing degree, and she was working as a bartender in Vegas. Just never used her marketing degree. And the pandemic shut her down. She's like, the bar is closed. What am I going to do? So she actually joined our internship, and she's like, it's time for me to get back to marketing. So she joined as a marketing intern, got a chance to experience and do the things in marketing that she learned from school that she just never had a platform to actually go practice them. Everything from creating a Google ad to coming up with a full campaign, to being creative using, Canva artwork, to integrating that with a website, looking at analytics and metrics. And a lot of these things I taught her, she never knew. Other things she, figured out and worked on. But either way, recently she reached out to me and said, hey, I have a job offer. Can I use you as a reference? And that's just so empowering. And that's just pretty cool. So those are kind of, life changing. I look for those type of stories and see how can we make a difference. So sometimes when I see people that are, not necessarily 18, 19, but maybe they're in their mid or upper 20s and they're not where they thought they'd be.
No, fantastic. Thank you, Sherman. One last question for Sherman from anyone? All right, off we go. Thank you, Sherman. Round of applause for Sherman.
Thank you, everybody.
Great presentation and great work all around. All right, and the last person we have needs no introduction. Well, I'll give him an introduction anyway. He's part of our own Coco for Bay Island. His name is Volker. You may have seen him before. I would consider him at this point a very dear friend in so many different volunteerships and things that we run the special interest group together on systemic coaching. He is a NLP expert. I would say he is a systemic constellations expert. He is also an executive coach and an agile coach, and has done amazing work from the stories I've heard from him say with the Canadian First Nations as well. So let's give Volker a nice warm welcome. And you ready? So let me share my screen. Where are you? Okay, there you are. Okay, ready, Volker?
I am ready.
Okay, here we go.
So thank you very much for having me. And I have recently taken the polyvagal ideas and introduced more and more of my leadership coaching clients to actually paying attention to the nervous system. And mostly these come up when we're talking about leadership concerns like psychological safety on teams, or how do we encourage openness and transparency. During the pandemic, obviously, dealing with team members that are stressed out. And just generally, a lot of people are interested in creativity at work. And that requires that we're paying attention to two conversations that are happening simultaneously and all the time. We're trading words back and forth, written or verbal, and then our nervous systems are in conversation with each other at all times. We know what is going on for the other person at a nervous system level. And there comes along Stephen Porges and the polyvagal system that sort of creates a structure for our mind-body connection, and mostly pays attention to the autonomic nervous system, the one that we don't have any volitional control over, like digestion and heartbeat. And there's a sympathetic part of our autonomic nervous system that is all about activation, action, moving forward. And there's the parasympathetic side of that nervous system that is about rest and stillness. And when we are in a very safe place, the higher up in this diagram, the more safety in the space. We are likely in the ventral vagus. And that's where we feel safe, we have connection, we belong. Creativity thrives here, our minds wander. When we hang out with friends, we are often in that safe space. When we increase pressure in the situation, either by circumstance or because I'm the manager, we create activation. Now we have a hard time sitting still. It's the early start of fight and flight, where we get activated. And when we increase the pressure further, we get into freeze. We go numb, we dissociate. There's a sense of paralysis. We have a hard time getting out of bed in the morning. When that lasts for a long time, we call it burnout or depression. And there's very low executive function accessible in the dorsal. Now, the interesting two-step in this is a continuum and not quite as structured. When we have a foot in our safe space and a foot in excitement and a foot in activation, that's where we play. Improv would be in that area. And here we have a combination of keeping access to our creative juices while splashing around with risk and having excitement, being engaged, having a challenge that we find interesting. It's a highly productive place we can be in. So as a manager, I want to create that space for others. Personally, I find it very interesting when we go all the way over into the parasympathetic, we tend to activate both our happy place and the darkest place. And they show up at the same time. And usually that happens when we go into meditation. And there we slow our nervous system down enough where we start to notice all the safety patterns that keep running in the background, whether we need it or not. And that can be very confronting and uncomfortable and a great learning experience. There are a few principles around how we have this nervous system conversation. The first one is co-regulation. And that mostly states that we affect each other, we feel each other. And when I am in a safer space than you are, I send out an invitation for you to join me in safety. Or when I am feeling threatened, I'm extending the invitation to notice that it's a dangerous place here. The second one is that in the continuum, we want to have take incremental stepping stones. So when we encounter someone who feels utterly helpless, inviting them to take action, any action, is already a coaching move towards improvement. And the third one is just the general recognition that in addition to our perception, our cognitive perception, we can develop neuroception that lets us know what's actually happening in our nervous system. Where do I currently reside? And that's highly important for me as a coach to know where's my normal, how am I encountering people, and what are they reading me? What am I inviting them into? And am I lifting them up or am I making them aware of danger? So knowing myself is highly important. And then I can actually notice what is happening with me or for me in relationship. So I encounter someone that I don't know very well, and I very quickly either get more agitated or more safe and comfortable. And that lets me know something about their state and how to meet them. And in the office environment where we're not encountering many stray cats, the general move is towards safety. So how can I manage my own nervous system so that I encounter people from a safe place and I send out an invitation to feel safe? And as I mentioned earlier, in my ambition about how I can have an impact on the other, I look for incremental improvement. Is someone feeling threatened and getting overly focused? How can I create a little spaciousness so creativity and lateral thinking comes back in? And as a general reference, I highly recommend Deb Dana. She has a book called Polyvagal Exercises for Safety and Connection, which makes Stephen Porges' dome on the functioning of our nervous system much more practical and digestible. And I invite you to reach out to me on LinkedIn.
All right. Awesome. Beautiful presentation on Polyvagal. And just a shout out. I just listened to Deb Dana's podcast on Sounds True. Really great. Check that out too. I'm a big fan of it. Any questions for Volker?
I have one. So you mentioned meditation as an exercise to kind of access where you are or to be able to feel those feelings. What other exercises do you recommend for kind of knowing where you are in your nervous system or being able to work through your nervous system?
For me, it's not improv. For me, it's acting. I had to sit on my hands earlier to not take over the conversation. And like improv, acting is an invitation to be myself in the moment in an imaginary circumstance, and then to let myself alone, to sort of to allow myself just to be. And in ways that I had never expected, acting is both challenging me to step into situations that I in normal life never would be into, like screaming at someone or threatening to murder them or whatever craziness writers come up with. And then in that space, to find the place where I'm resting in myself and still resilient and responsive in the moment, to just let it happen. And that level of letting go, even though the words are prescribed, there's so much color and inflection and body language involved, that is like, it's very easy to spot, if I am in ventral, or if I'm freaking myself out about being on stage and having to perform or something. To the audience, that's just clear as day. So there's no hiding. And to do that in a social context, to not be able to hide in a social context, goes with improv or with Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, all of these environments create similar opportunities for us to just be. Yeah, Tom.
Hey, Volker. One of the many things I love about the Agile community is we embrace the kinds of concepts that you're talking about here. We love these things. I haven't been a part of a community professionally that embraces this kind of stuff like the Agile community does. And you're definitely on the forefront of really pushing the envelope. But one of the reasons why I'm glad to be retired is because this message it just seems to fall on deaf ears on the executives that really are the ones that need to hear it. And so when I hear Andrew say things like, he's tired of people, and a couple other folks have mentioned that, I am so relieved that I don't have to try to convince people to be decent human beings anymore when they've learned to be successul by being jerks, and they feel like they have to continue to do that. So here's my question. How the heck do you go in and coach people and make an impact? Do they listen? Are they receptive? Are you able to make progress with this?
The areas where that is easiest is if it follows on to a 360 feedback survey. And whatever ideas they have about their intentions and their ability as leaders, these 360 feedback surveys often are like a prick to a balloon. And there's an openness when they're looking at these written comments and the sense that, oh my God, my team members don't trust me. My peers, think I'm dominating meetings. And now they're suddenly confronted with comments that we don't get to hear very much. And recently I've experimented with essentially, like when we asked me to squeeze something into 7 minutes, I realized I've done this presentation on the fly with a bunch of senior leaders already, and it is doable. And to kind of condense it down and for them to start feeling both at what level of threat they're operating, when they're multitasking and they're overscheduling and the need to be in every decision, like how unkind they are to themselves and how that spills over to others. And so I have a combo message for them very often that if you want to know how you relate to yourself, look at a challenging relationship. The person that you can't stand or that you find triggering, you will still treat them better than you treat yourself. And if you want to have more even-keeled relationship, you got to start being a lot friendlier in your own relationship, in your expectation of yourself. I mean, just today I had a long conversation about, how a senior leader feels always disappointed and her expectations aren't being met, and how to deal with these, lackluster employees. And I was like, just look in the mirror. Like, how much are you driving yourself for striving for perfection? And how harsh is the language when you're describing any one of your regrets or when things didn't go so well? I mean, it's obvious in her own language, how much she beats herself up. And then it becomes circular. And I am in a conversation where they really get that as I am working on myself, I am opening up new doors in my relationships to the people around me. And in that combination, I often get a lot of traction.
Brilliant. Love you, Volker.
Volker, this is Nate. Well, first of all, I have to applaud you. I'm assuming that you've done this before because you made the smoothest transition chart to chart here in this 20-second thing. It didn't seem like you were rushed at any point along the way. I don't know how.
I had a lot of conversations with my nervous system before I got started.
The other thing is you brought up some topics, like I heard we say Polyvega many, many times, but I don't listen to him half the time. But you have excited me on that topic, and I'd like to learn more about that. I also recently have finished my NLP coaching practitioner certification. But I'm looking to take it further into more advanced and master's level. And, we don't have to talk about it here, but I'd like to maybe touch base with you on how to, what would be some of your suggestions on individual readings here, and also organizations or even yourself that I could connect with to further integrate the NLP concepts in how I coach and teach along the way here.
I'd love the conversation. I put my email into the chat, and that's
okay.
I think I stopped going to NLP trainings 10 years ago after really being in it for like 5 or 6 as a teaching assistant and so forth.
Is that because
when you get me started, you might find it hard to shut me up again.
Do you have reservations in the training is why you did that, or?
No. It was just after 8 years. I mean, at some point it was time to just find something new.
Got it. Okay.
No, I think I'm extremely. I have high recommendations that I'm very confident about. And okay. We can talk about the subtleties of the various schools of thought.
Fantastic. Thank you.
As a bonus, Nate, I can recommend doing any form of NLP master practitioner. I've recently discovered that being a master practitioner allows me to put toddlers to sleep in under 5 minutes. Incredibly helpful.
Okay, so if you can give me your email or
trust Volker's opinion. Stay in touch with him. You'll be fine. Unless you have toddlers you want to have put to sleep, I'll see what I can do for you.
But you got a better beard than he does, so that's cool.
I love the point about co-regulation. I think that was something that was sparked when I was at the conference with many of you in California, which was amazing. So great job on that, everyone. But also just the idea that the presence of the coach or the presence of the people who are leading has this dramatic effect on the executives or on the teams or on that. So as coaches work on themselves, that's actually one of the most powerful ways to help the people around you. And it is why it's so important to keep bringing that to, as many of us have said on this call, a place where people are quite tough with each other. They beat themselves up quite. So us being a little bit gentler with ourselves and being able to radiate that and keep working on ourselves and bringing that is making the world a better place. I deeply appreciate that point, Volker.
And I mean, I have plenty of conversations where what my clients suspect is their way of relaxing and being in ventral, yeah, is like sitting in a first person shooter game and blowing shit up. And like, your nervous system is not in recharging battery mode. You are artificially creating excitement at a very high threat level that is highly addictive, but not relaxing. No matter what you tell yourself, that's not what's happening. So, I mean, the discovery or the sort of the sobering reality that so many of us spend relatively little time in the happy place, yeah, and that many of us even have sort of big do not enter signs where being safe and being in connection is so out of the comfort zone that it feels threatening again. So when our baseline is at a relatively high level of vigilance or anxiety, yeah, it gets in the way of actually making connection. And in no other context, I have not found another way of bringing that to people's attention. And suddenly, with this little diagram and this 3-step ladder and you know, talking about co-regulation, I am in a very different conversation, and they suddenly realize, like, oh yeah, I can't sit still on the sofa. I go out of my mind. Yeah, and then I can talk about meditation and like allowing the discomfort and comfort zone and how we stretch out of our comfort zones. And living in a safe world is out of the comfort zone of an astonishing amount of people, particularly if they're willing to make the personal sacrifices that are required to climb the ladder in corporations and end up at senior levels, like Tom mentioned. Yeah, I mean, the kind of self-sacrifice and self-cruelty that is occurring is kind of hard to watch as a coach.
Yeah.
And I start using this language with them, and I'm always waiting, like, are they dropping me now or are they coming back? and every so often I lose someone where it's like, I'm not ready for this conversation.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Other questions for Volker?
Or maybe it just occurred to me, yeah, there's this book about leading from the back of the room. That is essentially leading, allowing our nervous system to have an impact.
Mm-hmm.
I saw April. Did you have a question?
I'm thinking about how many executives, as the right hand of many an executive, how helpful these sort of things would have been as the person they're delegating responsibility to care for them to another human by making sure that they're fed, that they go to doctor's appointments, that they, when you think about the things that top level executives don't want to, can't do to take care of themselves, and I don't know, like that's one of the reasons why I'm like I'm not in the business of taking care of being responsible for taking care of an individual, and so helping others learn how to take care of themselves. Yeah, I'm all in for that. I love that idea, but you delegating the responsibility for taking care of yourself to another person, I was thinking, like, where were you 10 years ago? Okay, exiting soapbox.
Us darn rescuers.
Yeah. There was a comment on the chat, Volker, about what do you think the impact that the pandemic has had on our nervous system? Do you have any thoughts there?
Oh yeah. Sure. I can opine all day. I mean, for starters, in my own experience, I live by myself. And suddenly I went without any co-regulation. And self-regulation only goes so far. So how then do we create in a virtual context, a sense of community, a place where we can be vulnerable and let our guards down and allow ourselves to be carried by others. And boy, there were some dark weeks when that started out, and that's dorsal. So in dorsal, in that dark spot, that's isolation. And depending on how isolation or loneliness lives in our nervous system just through our history, boy, that all just went through the roof. And then we started doing it collectively, where everybody was on edge, and you go into the grocery store and everybody is scared of everybody else, and do we have the right distance, and you're being too close and you're invading my space, and suddenly all that was supercharged because I could die, and that's dorsal again. Dorsal is our last step, where we just check out so that by the time we die it doesn't hurt so bad. That's the deer in the headlight, just freezes and can't move anymore. And we've done that collectively in a fairly synchronized way. And so it is no wonder that social unrest, climate change concerns, we project these fundamental human needs everywhere into our environment, and then sort of they become a lot more pronounced and a lot more important. So the stakes have gotten a lot higher and our support systems a lot weaker. That's the pandemic in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And it's a collective thing. So I'm extremely curious how children, in their formative years, like below 6, like that's going to be a very clearly identifiable generation in terms of the patterns and behaviors that we will start seeing in their 20s and 30s. That'll be a cohort.
Yeah. Well, we are 1 minute away from 8 o'clock, and this meetup is, and just, thank you to folks.